Hello everyone, it is Super Bowl Sunday, and I'm going to change Niklaus, and thought I would just chat about something interesting that I think about, and say hey to everyone. It's been a while since I've been on, so there's a quote, and I didn't go look it up word for word before I started this video. I actually have it tattooed on my arm. It's by Nietzsche. And the quote says something like, one must take care when gazing into the abyss, and when one gazes long into the abyss gazes also into you. Something like that. And I guess this came up in my mind. I mean, I think about it all the time. I first heard that quote from Robert Ressler. I was watching a documentary on YouTube, and Robert Ressler, I guess, was talking about it because, he had a very long career working with violent, sexual sadists or serial offenders, on top of other things, but in criminal justice in general, in the military and in the FBI. And he talked about that, how important it is for people who are working in that field and working with that kind of subject matter to be hyper vigilant with their thoughts and their what they do with their time, what they intentionally do with their time, because they're surrounded by dark subject matter, and they're also having to look at it very, very closely. And so Nietzsche says, that when you gaze long into the abyss gazes also into you, which also, gives a feeling of almost of life or consciousness to, this abyss, this, darkness, or whatever you want to call it. And that's certainly a topic in and of itself, right? Whether or not, you think that evil is a living, breathing, or even beyond living and breathing, but an actual conscious force. His hair is so cute. That little guy. Oh, you look grumpy, huh? Oh, you look so grumpy. You guys, I'm right under the window, but it's still a little funky with the lighting. It looks a little grainy. So anyway, that's a whole nother subject, right? I think that this conversation, really, it could go whatever the thoughts are on that subject. This certainly is still a relevant topic. So I guess for me, this week, I've thought about it because I experienced, not for the first time certainly, I experienced again how much my thoughts and my focus sort of drive my experience. Like, I guess, for example, if I'm feeling like maybe inside I'm feeling like I'm not being successful at being productive, or I'm just not pleasing like anyone, right? Like I'm only halfway meeting what my goals are to meet, and I'm just overwhelmed. I can start like feeling from, hey, froggy legs, I can start feeling from different angles, sensing like unhappiness with my performance, and like that becomes my reality of what I'm seeing. Like I had an interaction with my boss where I felt like there were two passive aggressive sort of like undertone comments that were indicative of a problem that he wasn't directly voicing with me. And then I I just felt like I wasn't being successful here in my house. And I recognize that I'm being emotional. And then maybe I'm thinking that I'm anticipating, issues with other people that aren't even there. But then I start thinking, oh, is that what's happening? Am I reading into things? And you guys, it's all in my head. I addressed it with my boss after crazy lady conversations with myself walking the dog. I addressed it with him in the most direct and professional and sort of like, I have to discuss this with you in order for the success of our business kind of thing. And it was a total misunderstanding. Of course it was. But it can go deeper than that, right? So again, my experience and what I would anticipate is if I stuck with that mindset and I kept going with it and feeling that inside, I think I would have manifested those situations. I have done it before. And I think that no matter what, the so-called objective outside reality is, that my reality of what I experience is it's 100% about what I perceive. Because that's all my experience is my perception of what's going on around me, not anybody else's perception of what's going on around me. And then if you go deeper with it and you take it to something a little bit more serious, for example, if you watch a lot of murder shows like I do, and you study a lot of serial killers like I do, and you look to understand the psyche and the thought process, and you watch what happens to victims, and like I do, your viewpoint on the world can become very jaded. And it's not untrue, because these things are happening, or we wouldn't have shows to watch about them. But if I shift my focus, I've had long stretches of time where I feel 100% safe in this universe with no doubt that I am attracting only light and goodness, and whether or not that made me immune to negative experience, it's sort of not the point, right? The point is I didn't go through life with fear. But I can feel that when I know that if I start to be fearful on the inside, that I am vibrating in an energy that I don't want to be vibrating at, and I have to shift my focus and watch The Bachelor or HGTV or something really feel good. I think I'm going to put this sweater on him, but I'm not committed to keeping it on him. But it does look really cute. I like this together though. The sweater, he's worn it before. It says, petite bébé, little baby. But it matches, you see, because of the little trees. It's got the browns and the grays and the greens in it. And sort of like on the darker scale of this topic, you can see it with lifestyle. You can watch a person who's like quote unquote healthy and well adjusted get introduced to a certain lifestyle and dabble in it a little bit. Maybe they're feeling a community in it, or they're feeling, they're feeling a connection, or it's speaking to a certain part of themselves. So they dabble in it, and then they spend more time with it, and then they connect with people that validate it because they're in it too. And then before you know it, their entire lifestyle can change, and maybe they can even end up being involved in things and doing things that nobody would ever think that they would, and that they wouldn't think so. But it's, it like awakens something almost inside of somebody, because they're feeding this. And that's like people say, don't put yourself in a situation to be tempted. That's a big thing in spiritual and Christian teachings too. Like, you don't put yourself into a situation where you will be continuously tempted. It's the same kind of idea, because you will feed, either you're feeding the devil's influence, or for those of us that believe that, and those of us that believe things a little bit differently, or understand them a little bit differently, you're feeding a certain energy within yourself, or you're putting energy, you're driving energy to something and maybe we're all capable of anything. You know, however you explain and understand that when you gaze into the abyss gazes also into you. Sometimes I feel like, I've felt it a couple times, like I think about these experiences that these poor women have that have been injured or murdered, and I think about like the fear of that experience, and I think about the actual moment of being face to face with it, you know, and I can almost like see it. And in the moment where I can almost see it, like I almost feel like it sees me. It's very hard to explain. I remember I used to lay awake at night and I would think about, you know, like I would all of a sudden involuntarily think about ghosts or aliens. Take a sip of my coffee, and I would get so twisted up, because I would think, well, if I think about it, is it going to be attracted to me? If I don't think about it, is it going to want to prove its existence to me? Become like such a trip. But anyway, if you have any thoughts or experiences with that, let me know. It's obviously it's something that spoke to me, or I wouldn't have added it to my tattoo design. I haven't read much by Nietzsche, actually. I know that it's almost a cliche thing in philosophy to read Nietzsche, but I probably should learn a little bit more about what he had to say. So here's this little guy. I wonder if won't be a little easier to see over here. Look over this way, baby. Let's bring your brother in for just a minute. If you guys don't follow me on Instagram or haven't noticed, Norman is up for adoption, just so you know. Maybe I'll do a separate video with him, but there's plenty of Norman in my other videos. But he is going to find a new mommy, and I think he'll be bringing a lot of happiness to maybe a new beginner collector or somebody who just really fell in love with his face. So if you happen to be one of the people who's told me that you love Norman, he is officially up for sale. You can always contact me on my Instagram, which is raendom.thoughts. The link will be in the description below. Ronan is just stopping in for just a minute. I just love the way he looks in blue. He is such a sweet, sweet baby. And he is going to be traveling with me in just 2 days, you guys, down to Florida. He's going to go on an airplane and meet my mom. So I'll be sure to take some pictures. If you are watching the game, I hope you have a wonderful time. If you are not, I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend, whatever that looks like for you. Oh, and I did want to add, I actually was thinking about this before I made the video and I almost forgot. I am most certainly not saying that people are deserving of the bad things that happen to them, because I did have a viewer who misunderstood that once before. And it was good that she said that to me, and I had the opportunity to clarify, because I talk a lot about attraction and energy and things like that. I have some, sorry, I hit the button. Anyway, I'm definitely not saying that. I have some other thoughts about like the balance of the universe and universal laws versus the things that we attract and create. And it's an interesting conundrum, right? In Christianity, you talk about, like predestination versus free will, and it's a similar mystery. I think that there's a lot of things going on at the same time that's hard to understand together, but it's like the mystery of life. But I had a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful spiritually conscious woman who ended up in a situation where her husband killed her. Very dear friend of mine a couple of years ago. I had another amazing, beautiful friend that was nothing but positivity and love and light, and an amazing father, and he developed, and laughter, and then he developed a brain tumor and died, which was not anything that you would see him attracting. And I have friends, even here in the community, who are, sweet, amazing people that are very, very ill and definitely don't, deserve that. So I'm definitely not saying that. Definitely not. There's some really bizarre things that happen that are kind of unexplained, and maybe that'll be another topic, some of the weird little like glitches in the matrix, I call them, that I've discovered. But anyway, thanks for watching. If you feel like, please like and subscribe. Leave a comment below if you have anything to add, and I'll be sure to be watching out for your videos. I look forward to hearing from you, hearing and watching your videos, seeing your beautiful babies, and talking soon. Bye for now.